I had no clue what life had in store for me that morning as I tended to the flowers in my yard. My hands were buried in the earth, checking the roots of the trees I had just planted. Everything was fine, just like every other day, until a searing agony shot through my back. I had no idea what was going to happen, particularly since my step-nephew Liam was only there by chance. My garden had always been my safe sanctuary and getaway. After my spouse Robert left, it was the one place that really healed my soul. Everything seemed different that day, even though I was 67 years old. But people would frequently question Evelyn, "How do you look so young for your age?" Actually, there was no big mystery. I just took care of myself with a healthy diet, frequent exercise, and a determination to never lose the young person inside me. But I'll confess that loneliness had penetrated far into my soul. My beauty may have continued to draw attention, but there was an emptiness within me that I couldn't fill. As I was positioning one of the saplings, a searing ache surged through my back. It was so quick and unexpected that I dropped everything I was holding. I closed my eyes briefly, trying to breathe through the agony, but it didn't help. The anguish spread from my shoulder to my back, leaving me immobilized. "Evelyn, are you all right?" Liam's voice suddenly appeared to me. Liam, my step-nephew, is 22 years old and has wide shoulders, a strong body, and the type of face that appears on magazine covers. His golden hair glistened in the sunshine, and his piercing eyes were riveted on me, concerned. He had a natural appeal that caught everyone's attention, even if he didn't seem to realize it himself. And all of that young excitement appeared to be directed completely at supporting me. "My back," I said, pointing to the most painful part. "Something's wrong. I cannot move. Are you ready for this? Because this isn't just any story. This is a voyage in which borders blur. Emotions get entwined, and admissions sound like silent screams. Every moment may ignite something inside you, pushing the limits of what you thought you understood. If this seems like your sort of story, please subscribe to my channel and turn on alerts to support me." Liam crouched close to me. He said, "Let me help." When his enormous hands touched my shoulders, I felt an involuntary shiver go through me. "I will give you a massage. It normally helps," he said. I lacked the resolve to protest. I was willing to do everything to alleviate my misery. But what really startled me was the way his touch touched me. Liam placed his hands on my back and gently pressed. I have to confess I hadn't felt this close in years. His fingers were powerful, yet surprisingly gentle. As they slid over my tensed muscles, the agony faded, leaving behind a peculiar warmth that filled my whole being. It was as if the lonely lady within me had suddenly awakened. Maybe I inhaled too deeply. "Liam," I started to speak, but the words stuck in my throat. I couldn't finish. He didn't say anything, just kept stroking his hands over my back in a manner that made me hyper-aware of each touch. I felt a change at that point, and it worried and delighted me in unexpected ways. Liam continued to stroke his hands gradually and methodically over my back until he halted and leaned forward to look at me. "Evelyn, this is very bad." He spoke in a serious and worried tone. "We can't repair it here in the garden. Let's bring you inside near the fireplace. The warmth will assist, and I'll fetch some cream to apply to your back. We have to take care of this." I paused for a second, but the anguish pushed me to make a choice. I nodded, and he helped me stand up. He advised caution and to go gently. His muscular hands held me, and the way he embraced me was really relaxing. I hadn't felt this close in years. When we went inside, the raging fire created a warm, golden glow around the room. The heat wrapped around me like a blanket, instantly alleviating some of the tension in my body. Liam quickly spread a blanket on the floor and indicated for me to lay down. "You should extend your back to a more comfortable posture." He kept his stare earnest, but with a trace of hesitation. "I have some cream that can help release those muscles." I laid down, letting the fire's warmth permeate my body while Liam massaged the cream between his hands to warm it up. The first time his hands touched my shoulders, I exhaled a breath I hadn't aware I had held. "Just relax," he said gently, "and you'll feel better in no time." But each touch of his hands did more than simply soothe my physical pain. It was reawakening something within me that I thought I'd buried long ago. As his fingers moved down my back, my thoughts became clearer and more confused. Liam's touch provided more than simply healing. It was awaking. I hesitated inside for a second, but the agony was too great, so I gave in right away. Liam gently grabbed my arm and pulled me to my feet. He advised to take it slowly and carefully. When his big hands wrapped almost completely around me, I felt oddly protected. This young man's protectiveness rekindled a relationship I hadn't felt in years. When we entered the home, the fireplace's flames projected a wonderful orange light over the room. The crackling of the fire and the heat that filled the room instantly calmed me. Liam quickly spread a blanket on the floor and indicated for me to lay down. "You need to relax your back in a more comfortable posture," he said quietly, his eyes still severe but sparking with something more kind. I also brought some cream to assist soften the muscles. I laid down, allowing the warmth to wrap around my body. As Liam poured the cream into his palm and massaged it between his fingers to warm it, the initial touch of his fingertips on my shoulder prompted me to automatically inhale a gasp. "Relax," he murmured quietly. "You will feel better now." But with each touch, I could feel something changing. His hands were not only giving me with physical pleasure, but they were also reawakening feelings inside me that had been buried for many years. As his hands brushed over my back, my thoughts relaxed, but also grew muddled. Liam's touch was slow but consistent, going deeper in both physical and emotional ways. "It's no wonder your muscles are so tight," he said in a nice tone that grabbed my attention. "Evelyn, you are taking on too much. You must consider yourself in addition to the garden and the home." I attempted to convey to Liam that the garden is my therapy. Without it, I know he paused, his hand softening somewhat. "However, a garden alone is insufficient. You also need folks who care about you." His words warmed me more than the fire, but they also made me feel uneasy. I wasn't sure what he meant, or maybe I knew, but I didn't want to believe it. At this time, his hands lowered slightly on my back to continue the massage. The warmth of his touch loosened the tense spots, but it also created a new form of knot. Being so near to him was both soothing and alarming. "Liam," I finally responded, my voice shaking, "you're extremely helpful," but I realize he continued to speak slowly this time, "but everything will be well." "Just relax, Evelyn." I realized his remarks were more than simply advice. His presence drew closer with each passing second, much like the flames of the fire. Liam's hands glided softly down my back, allowing each muscle to relax beneath his touch. A strange sensation of unease overwhelmed me. His warmth deepened gradually, yet determinedly. During that moment, my thoughts were cloudy, and an internal struggle formed. "Stay calm, Evelyn," I told myself, but I was unable to control it. As his warm hands came closer to my shoulders, my pulse raced. On one side, Liam's closeness. On the other, the limits that had been formed over time. "Evelyn, he's your step-nephew. You shouldn't be doing this." The fireplace cast a wonderful light around the room, but the heat eventually got suffocating. When I watched Liam wipe the perspiration from his forehead, my attention was pulled to him. He suddenly pulled up the bottom of his shirt and removed it. His powerful, sun-kissed physique sparkled in the firelight almost like a sculpture. It's tough to put into words how I felt at that time. I hadn't felt this attached to someone in years. "The heat from the fire is too much," he cried, lowering his shirt to the floor. His tone was casual, yet the intensity of his stare kept me frozen. Then his eyes met mine. "Evelyn, you are getting really warm," he muttered gently but forcefully. "You will feel worse if you continue to wear those apparel." "Allow me to assist you." My words became lodged in my throat. I pondered pushing back, but the perspiration on my skin and the warmth in the room were making me uncomfortable. Slowly I nodded. Liam squatted beside me, reaching for the hem of my shirt. I could feel his warm fingers on my flesh. The contact made me quiver, yet it was not icy. It was a kind of heat. He slowly pulled up my shirt, putting it over my hair before taking it off and placing it aside. At that point, the air between us got thicker. His eyes lingered on me for a second before he abruptly looked away. Even still, I didn't need to see his face to realize the torment his eyes produced in me. "Evelyn," Liam responded, his voice deeper and gentler than before. "Do you feel better now I believe so?" I said, my voice trembling. My words couldn't hide the conflict within me. It wasn't just the heat. Liam's presence gave me a good sensation. "Come on," he said, offering his hand. "Let's sit on the sofa. You're uncomfortable here," so I grasped his hand. When our fingers touched, I felt energy like I hadn't felt in years. His massive arms raised me to my feet and held me tightly for a little time. Liam's protective attitude seemed so obvious, so natural, that my worries faded. When we got to the sofa, he gently sat me. He sat next to me immediately away, making sure there was enough space between us. Nonetheless, the tension in the room was consistent. There was something between us that was difficult, if not impossible, to express in words. I struggled not to get drawn into the depth of his stare, struggling to keep the battle inside me at bay. But one thing was apparent. Tonight it was impossible to reject the weight of our feelings. We sat down, and the crackling of the fire contributed to the quiet between us. My heart was beating in my chest, and I could almost hear it. Liam sat next to me, and even his breath moved me. Being so close to him made me feel both afraid and peaceful. I turned my head for a second, and our gazes met. His gaze communicated something, whether curiosity or something more. In that proximity, it was difficult to miss the look in his eyes, which was profound, passionate, and compassionate. At that instant, it seemed as if the world had stopped. Liam tenderly extended his hand for mine. When his fingers touched mine, I shuddered. He didn't say anything yet. The quiet was full with significance. His gaze lingered on my lips for a second, and suddenly everything changed. He leaned gently toward me. He was so near that his breath felt warm across my skin. The voices inside me stopped. There was no more right and wrong. Liam's gaze and closeness to me were all that mattered at the moment. I closed my eyes and leaned slightly towards him. When our lips met, it seemed like time had stopped. The first touch was gentle, delicate, and curious. But within seconds, that softness had turned into something more savage. His warmth breath and the feeling on his lips, everything seemed far from reality. In that moment, the loneliness, fear, and yearning that had built up inside me seemed to merge with him. This was not just a kiss. It was the result of years of repressed emotions, desires, and maybe a secret relationship. As the kiss continued, his hands brushed softly over my face. My hands instinctively grasped his shoulders. The heat from his body was radiating through my hands. Finally, we pulled away simultaneously. When our eyes met, our breathing became irregular. Nonetheless, our connection seemed stronger than ever. Was there anything to say? I was unsure. Only one thing was certain: nothing in our relationship would be the same after tonight. After the kiss, I noticed I was short of breath. My heart felt like it was about to explode through my chest. When I looked into Liam's eyes, I saw a question and a deep need. In that moment, my thoughts was completely quiet. My emotions and body were making the decisions right now. Liam, I said, my voice weak, but my feelings clear. Yes, I want you, I want you. The words left my lips, and something within me snapped. The loneliness and fears I'd had for years seemed to dissipate in an instant. All that mattered was to be there with him. Liam's face showed a brief flicker of astonishment, followed by a slow grin. His eyes reflected the warmth that enveloped me. I want you too, Evelyn, he answered with a lovely and powerful voice. I tried to hold back, but I can't anymore. I want you. I want to be with you. His words washed over me like waves, each one hitting my heart. Liam tenderly touched my cheek with his hands before moving closer to me again. This time there was no hesitation. We knew precisely what we wanted. When his lips touched me again, the intensity of our feelings was beyond words. This moment was pivotal for me. Liam's appearance, friendliness, and words. Regardless of my reservations, I had no intention of halting anything. Right now, I hadn't paused anything. I'd completely succumbed to the flow of my emotions. Liam was asleep next to me, breathless and twisted in each other, with just a thin sheet between us. With a faint grin on my lips, I gazed up at the ceiling and saw our shirts and pants strewn out on the floor. The night felt quite strange. It seemed like a dream as Liam turned to face me, that enticing grin lingering on his lips. His palm delicately stroked my face, and his thumb barely touched my lips. Nerea, he muttered, his voice low and quiet. I wouldn't trade this moment for anything. I thanked him with conflicting feelings. Thanks, Liam. I had not felt this lonely in a long time. How about you? Are you this big, young, and handsome? I really like it. I had no intention of hiding the sincerity and thankfulness in my eyes. Liam's lips curled forward, exposing his signature stunning grin. Evelyn, do you know how stunning you are? He said. And I'm not just talking about your beauty. It feels utterly different being around you. Your warmth, truthfulness, and everything. You make me feel better about myself. I couldn't take my eyes off him. His words, his touch. Everything seemed so genuine and meaningful that I wanted to keep this night in my mind forever. I needed you, Liam, I responded honestly, and you were here. I couldn't ask for more. Liam smiled softly as he stroked his fingers over the sheet's edge. Evelyn, I'll be visiting here regularly. From now on, I shall be there any time you need me. He talked with determination and honesty, just to see you, just giving you these moments. In that moment, I felt like a new door was opening in my life. The weight and loneliness of the past were slowly leaving me. Having Liam at my side instilled in me a deep feeling of trust and peace. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and moved closer to his warmth. This night was just the beginning for me, the beginning steps of a new adventure, and knowing that I wasn't alone anymore was more essential than anything. I hope you liked my story. It was a beautiful adventure, and I'm thrilled to share it with you. If you want to hear more stories like these, remember to subscribe. If you turn on alerts, you'll be the first to know when a new episode is available. Also, your likes and comments are really important to me. Hearing your views and sentiments definitely motivates me. Your support allows me to write more. Thank you so lot, and I will see you in a future narrative.